So let's talk about a sensitive subject in regards to American politics and the interest groups that lobby American politicians. As you can see, I have the Wikipedia article here for AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. And this is, as Wikipedia describes it, a pro-Israel lobbying group that many people for a long time have felt has simply bought loads of American congressmen and senators and other people in positions of influence and authority to unduly extend and enhance the influence of Israel over American politics. And indeed, many American politicians have been described as being Israel first rather than America first. And this is one of those things about the America first types that they have taken issue with, because Israel is, of course, a foreign country and is usually considered by most people essentially to be a kind of extension of just the United States, given how much the United States funds it and how much Israel funds American politicians in turn. But something really strange has been happening. So there's a kind of suite of politicians, which I'm just going to call the sort of Dan Crenshaw types, who themselves are moderate Republicans on most issues, but extreme Israel partisans when it comes to this particular topic. And in fact, there was a few months ago, Dan Crenshaw had a beef with Tucker Carlson over this. And Stephen Edgington interviewed Dan Crenshaw, and off camera, apparently Dan Crenshaw said, quote, "If I could, I would kill him if I saw him." Because, of course, Carlson has been a critic of America's political marriage to Israel. Now, I just want to make it clear, I'm completely ambivalent towards Israel. I'm completely ambivalent towards Palestine. This is not my business. I've never received any money either way, so I just don't care. I'm England first, in the sense of the sort of America first type people. But this is a fascinating thing, because you see a lot of politicians who clearly have a vested interest in supporting Israel because they receive lobbying money. And that's fairly understandable. That's politics as usual. There's nothing actually surprising to say about this. The interesting thing is that of late, people have been asking a few questions because Donald Trump has been making a few really significant moves. Now, there's definitely been a kind of hierarchical relationship that people perceive between the United States and Israel, and the United States, despite being the guarantor and often funder of much of what Israel does, has perceived to be the junior partner in this arrangement. And many people are not happy with this. Many people don't like what they perceive to be a kind of exploitation and a kind of disrespect that they feel that that Israel shows America. Now, this isn't the same as the radical left wing who are convinced that Israel is committing a genocide and want to destroy Israel. That's not what these people on the right are perceiving. What they're perceiving on the right is a lack of parity in the relationship between America and Israel. And they find that to be inappropriate, because really the difference should, of course, be Israel deferring to America rather than America deferring to Israel. And so these people on the right aren't Israel haters, or not generally. There are some, of course, who are Israel haters. But they're not like the people on the left who are just congenital Israel haters and hate what the state of Israel is doing to the Palestinian people and characterize it in ways of which the other side doesn't agree. What they're concerned about really is the condition of the relationship between America and Israel. And this picture kind of summarized their issue. It was a bit weird to see Donald Trump seating Benjamin Netanyahu as if he was his subordinate. But there's something about this photo that always made me question, because, I mean, if you look at Trump's face, I don't know, man. I'm getting kind of Godfather vibes from this. Like, this doesn't seem to be a man who is actually deferring to Netanyahu. This, to me, looks like a man who's laying a trap, actually, seeing how far Netanyahu will let him go before he pulls the rug. And I say pulls the rug because it's very interesting. I mean, as you can see here, President Trump, you're the greatest friend Israel has ever had, says Netanyahu. But the rumor behind the scenes is that Trump doesn't like Netanyahu. And recently, there have been some affirmative moves to demonstrate this. For example, Mike Waltz in Trump's cabinet was the person who added a journalist into the group chat, the Signal chat, to leak the war plans, or the strategic maneuvers that were going to take him against the Houthis. And Trump has fired him, and he's fired him because of his close coordination with Netanyahu and his eagerness to strike Iran, which, of course, Netanyahu and Israel have wanted to do for a long time. And so that's interesting, that Trump wouldn't just be 100% on side with that, and has actually pulled back from this position. But it keeps going on. So apparently one journalist reported that Mar-a-Lago insider told him that AIPAC was getting shut out of the Trump administration, and confirmed that Waltz was working with Netanyahu to undermine the president. Now, Donald Trump is a really, really good coalition builder, and he often uses very broad and flattering rhetoric on lots and lots of different people, even if these people are often in contradictory positions, just to bring these people on side so they're not on the other side. And now that he's got everything, now that he's won everything, it seems that he's actually going, right, okay, what do I actually want out of this coalition? And it might well be that he doesn't want the Israel First types. Pete Hegseth recently cancelled his trip to Israel as all of this began building, and you can't help but feel, right, something is happening regarding America's relationship to Israel, because if there's one thing that Donald Trump very much is, it is a hierarchical man. He understands hierarchies very clearly, and in his world, he's always been at the top. And so, going back to the Netanyahu picture, don't know, man, that's just not good expression on his face. If I were Netanyahu, that would bother me. I would be deferring to the President of the United States if he offered the chair. I'd say, Mr. President, I should be tucking in your chair, perhaps. You know, who's in the superior and inferior position here? Like this, that's very generous of you, but like Netanyahu looks like he's getting a bit too comfortable, right? Because I mean, it's not that you can't say that he hasn't had previous administrations wrapped around his finger or anything, because he obviously has. So, very interesting. So, we learned the other day that apparently Trump has cut contact with Netanyahu, calling him arrogant and trying to push him around and making him feel disrespected and manipulated. And to be honest with you, that sounds very much like Trump, doesn't it? But it also sounds a lot like Netanyahu. And that's interesting because I think that every previous administration just looked at the network that Israel had connecting themselves to the United States and just thought, you know what, it's just not worth the effort. It's just not worth the effort to make a big deal out of this. And I suspect that Netanyahu has kind of felt secure in that, saying, yeah, look, they're getting a lot of money. The politicians are getting a lot of money from us. We're getting a lot of money from America. It's not worth anyone's time to upset the apple cart here. But Donald Trump is a man of the thymos. He is a man that demands respect. The spirited part of Trump's soul is that part which really is the thing you need to think about when dealing with Donald Trump. And if Netanyahu hasn't been thinking about that, which I suspect he hasn't been, then things can change. I mean, Obama, Clinton, Bush, you can't really say the same for them. You can see how Netanyahu could get around all of those guys, and especially with Biden as well. But this is fascinating, and Keith is correct here. This is genuinely unthinkable. Like, I never thought we would see something like this coming about, saying Donald Trump's like, no, I think Netanyahu's trying to manipulate me. He's disrespecting me. I'm cutting ties with him, which means essentially cutting ties with Israel broadly. And so you get just strange things. That's right. Trump is no longer demanding that Saudi Arabia recognize Israel for a nuclear deal with the US. Oh, these are Trump cards that Israel was playing via the hand of the United States. That Trump has just decided, actually, I'm the guy who makes the decisions. I don't have to do this. And that is a fascinating turn of events. And one, honestly, I just never thought I would see. But I mean, personally, I'm not that fussed about Israel. I'm not, again, I've mentioned this before. It's just not something I'm bothered about. But this does represent quite a seismic change in attitude towards foreign policy. And then you get this. Gulf diplomatic sources stated that Trump may soon issue a declaration regarding American recognition of Palestine. Now, I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, he said he was going to turn it into real estate. But I think that what he's doing is seeding through the grapevine messages back that circumvent themselves back to Netanyahu and he'll hear that, oh, this diplomat said Trump might recognize Palestine soon, in order to change the balance of power in their relationship. Say, look, I can just pull the rug at any point because I'm the president of the United States and you're dependent on us and not the other way around. And so be warned. So I think this is kind of a warning shot across the bows. And then you've got the rest of MAGA, and much of MAGA is not anti-Israel, not like the left is anti-Israel, but they are America first, and they don't like seeing Israel being put first. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is making a play in that direction to show that actually the base, I think, would move with Donald Trump on this. Again, it's not anti-Israel, it's just pro-America. And fundamentally, I think this does come from Trump's personal dislike of Netanyahu. Back in 2020, he was not happy that Netanyahu accepted the election results, whether you think that was right or wrong. This was something that I think Trump memorized, internalized. And I think that maybe we are seeing a little bit of 4D chess here. I'm loath to use the 4D chess meme, but I can't help but feel that Trump's been sitting on this for a while. And like these photo ops, Trump is the master of optics. He knows what he's doing when it comes to optics, and he always has. He's been always very, very concerned about this sort of thing. And so to allow this kind of photo to come to light is something I don't think Trump has done necessarily accidentally. And I do think that actually he was kind of testing them to see how far they would go, see how disrespectful they would be, Netanyahu in particular. And now it looks like he's changing the game. He's changing the layout of the board. He's saying, no, we're just not going to do the things that you want done. And in return, and this is a payback for the disrespect I feel that Netanyahu has shown me, which I can just, wow, I never thought I would see the day. And I think that a lot of other people honestly never thought that this could be done by a president of the United States, because the precedent of Israel being such an important foreign policy issue to the United States of America would look like it was set in stone. And so again, this is just wild. I have no idea where this goes. I have no idea what comes of this, obviously. And anyone who tells you that they do, they're not telling you the truth. They don't know. This is pretty unprecedented.